After that wonderful keynote session, let us now hear what the expert has to say about the cutting edge technology theme. For the expert talk on the cutting edge technology theme, we have with us a very distinguished scientist and an engineer, Dr. S. Geeta, who is currently serving as the Program Director, Space Transportation System, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. At present, she is responsible for program planning and management of the PSLV, the workhorse of ISRO, and the prestigious GSLV project of the country for injecting INSAT series of satellites in geosynchronous orbits. Her determination and dedication resulted in her winning laurels and awards such as the Best Woman Engineer in 2008, Best Woman Scientist in 2016, and ISRO Merit Award in 2018, and so on. Please join me in welcoming Dr. S. Geeta to the virtual stage.
Good morning. First of all, a big thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I will cover the launch vehicle mission design. Thank you, sir. So, the launch vehicle mission design starts with the mission feasibility. For that, we have to see what is the satellite requirement and what are the constraints. On the satellite side, we have to have the requirements like what is the mass of the satellite, which is the orbit, SSPO, GTO or LEO, or its apogee, perigee and inclination, along with the other constraints like argument of perigee, launch window, lift-off time, and the multiple spacecraft and multiple orbit injections. Coming to the design constraints, we have to see the launch vehicle azimuth, visibility, flight safety constraints, loads, controllability, and all these things, along with the satellite requirements and the design constraints, we have to see whether the existing launch vehicle is sufficient to cater to the requirements. Then we will go for the PSLV, GSLV, and Mark III, and the new vehicle SSLV. If it is not so, we have to have a new launch vehicle like our HLV, reusable launch vehicle, and the recoverable launch vehicle. Once this procedure is over, our launch vehicle configuration gets finalized. Then comes to the challenges in the mission design. As I told you, the spacecraft orbit and the configuration is finalized. I have put the challenges in the mission design under two categories. One is the modeling of the vehicle, that is vehicle and the satellite, which consists of rigid as well as the flexible modes, and the navigation, guidance and control design, of which I have put the trajectory, navigation, guidance and control. Each one of which I will come in the subsequent slides. So trajectory is to have minimum fuel and safe sound impact. Navigation gives you the present position. Guidance generates the steering commands, and the control is for the vehicle integrity and to have the load reduction. As I told you, the modeling of the launch vehicle is an important area in the mission design. It takes care of from launch stations to structural data, propulsion, configuration, mass properties, atmospheric properties, and actuator and sensor data. With all these data, we will come into a model which is used for our mission design. Truly speaking, for the present mission design for the GSLV vehicle, in the first stage of GSLV, we are using a 40th order matrix for the calculation. Along with the aero data and computational fluid dynamics data, all these data are important, and vehicle subsystem tested data we are using for the model generation. So coming to the trajectory design, what is the trajectory? It starts from the launch pad and ends at the end point, which is the injection point. So in the figure, I have put a trajectory of a launch vehicle from liftoff to satellite injection. So trajectory design starts with the optimum fuel for a fixed payload or a maximum payload for a given payload propellant loading, honoring several constraints. Then it leads to a constraint optimization problem. Then what are the constraints on the trajectory design? The constraints can be endpoint constraints dictated by the orbit, ascent phase constraints dictated by the launch tower clearance, vehicle loads, control force margins, peak dynamic pressure, and the thermal loads. Separation events are also important. In the case of first stage, dynamic pressure, altitude, and altitude rates are also important. Impact constraints are dictated by the stage impact and the instantaneous impact, flyover landmass, and the casualty expectancy. Tracking constraints are visibility from the tracking stations. So, as I told, the range safety and casualty expectancy, it is the normal casualty expectation is the normal risk measure utilized for judging the public risk from a launch. So, that is the product of the probability of a public exposure from the launch vehicle debris to the total public population exposed due to the debris. There are numbers which we have to take into account in the trajectory design. So in this view graph, I have put one, the left side is the launch vehicle being destroyed because of the loss of control, and the other one is a trajectory in which we have to see the flyover mass as well as instantaneous impact. Instantaneous impact has to be outside the EEZ, outside the economic zone of the country. That red mark on towards the encircling the country is the EEZ zone. So coming to the navigation guidance and control, navigation determines the present position of the vehicle. Guidance generates the steering command to reach the conditions of injection, and also the control. Control is the digital autopilot, is to track the guidance commands and maintain the stability of the vehicle. It is represented in the block diagram. Coming to the guidance itself, we have two guidance schemes. One is the open loop guidance scheme, which we are using for the atmospheric phase, and the closed loop guidance scheme, which we are using for the exo-atmospheric phase. So guidance commands generates the, as I told you, it is the translational dynamics is coming into picture in the guidance. In the closed loop guidance, what is the advantage is, any off-nominal performance of the propulsion system also can be taken care in the case of closed loop guidance, and we will meet the end conditions as in a nominal case. That is the advantage of CLG. And the thrust cutoff is also dictated by the guidance command. On the right side, I have put a transfer from one orbit to other, that is another orbit. That also sometimes the requirement comes to us. That is also done by the CLG system. And coming to the digital autopilot is the inner loop of the navigation, guidance, and control. And its major function is to faithfully follow the guidance commands, maintaining the stability and integrity of the vehicle. So, the maintaining the stability and integrity of the vehicle means we have to avoid control, structure, and slosh interactions. For that, the design has to be tuned to maintain stability of the vehicle. On the right side, I have put one is the control slosh interaction, wherein the rates on the body is of low magnitude, which is a tolerable situation. On the bottom, it is a control structure interaction due to instability of the first bending mode. The rates are going beyond control, and which leads to the loss of control. So sufficient adequate precaution has to be there in the DAP design. And once the design process like a CLG design and DAP design is over, we have to do 6 degrees of freedom simulations. That also in two phases we are doing. One is the offline studies and another one is the real-time simulations. In the offline studies, we have to have a number of simulations starting from liftoff, Monte Carlo simulations, flight safety analysis, and the day of the launch wind biasing. And on the real-time simulations, we have to have all the onboard computers in the loop. And there are different simulations as like SIP, IPT, and stress oils. Each simulation has its own goal. For example, in the case of HLS, which is the hardware in loop simulations, wherein the angular motion simulator will mimic the exact vehicle. In all these onboard simulations, the total vehicle will be simulated in the computer that is used for the simulation. ALS shows the actuator in loop simulation. Finally, we will do the performance oils. Performance oils in the sense we use the near to flight propulsion data for the simulation, and as you all are aware, after the flight we will have a textbook flight which matches our pre-flight simulations. So In this slide, I have put all the design flow. Already I have covered trajectories, ELG, DAP and 6D simulations. Once you are ready with the simulations, and we have to have a software, and all these tested init will be going, and the task that we call it as the onboard init, and the onboard init along with the flight software will go in the launch vehicle. So I have covered the briefly the launch vehicle mission design. And coming to the cutting edge technology, as sir has presented, we are having structures, 3D printing, we have already started, propulsion, we have the throttling capability for liquid engines, for reusable vehicle as well as for the re-entry vehicle. On the guidance and control side, we are using adaptive control and robust control techniques. On the separation side, we have genetic algorithm based reorientation and separation sequence, which ensures collision-free separation for n number of satellites with proper reorientation. And on the software side also, we have started with N-version programming. That covers my presentation. Thank you once again. A big thanks to giving this opportunity.